All right, let's talk about something that is, frankly, just incredibly frustrating for so many people. We're calling it the healthy hypertension paradox. You know the situation. You're doing everything you're supposed to for your health, but your blood pressure, it just refuses to get with the program. So today, we're going to dive in and figure out what on earth is going on. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, right? You're hitting the gym, you're eating your veggies, you're skipping the junk food, and yet that blood pressure cuff still gives you a number that makes your heart sink a little. It's confusing, and honestly, it can feel like you're doing all this work for nothing. So let's play detective and uncover some of the hidden culprits.
Okay, our first major suspect, and trust me, it's a big one, is stress. For a lot of us, it's just this constant hum in the background of our lives. But what we brush off as a crazy week at work can have very real physical effects on our bodies, quietly wrecking all our best efforts. So it's really important to get this. Not all stress is bad. There's acute stress, that jolt you get when a car cuts you off. That's your fight or flight response. And yeah, it spikes your blood pressure, but then it comes back down. Your body is built for that. The real villain here is chronic stress. That never-ending pressure from your job, money worries, family stuff. When that system is always on, it turns from a survival tool into a serious health problem, leading to blood pressure that stays high. So how does a stressful thought actually become a physical problem? Well, it's this fascinating chain reaction in your body called the HPA axis. It all starts in the brain. As you can see, the hypothalamus sends out a signal which tells the pituitary gland to send out another signal, which then tells your adrenal glands, okay, release the cortisol. Cortisol is that famous stress hormone. It's an amazing system for escaping a predator, but it's a total disaster when it's triggered by emails all day long.
And this is where the real damage happens. When cortisol is just constantly coursing through your veins, it's not just a feeling. It literally makes your body hold on to more salt. It makes your blood vessels extra sensitive to other hormones that squeeze them tight. It fuels this low-level inflammation everywhere. And it can completely mess up your sleep. You see how each one of these things is a direct route to higher blood pressure?
Okay, so stress is a huge piece of the puzzle, no doubt. But let's look a little closer at that so-called healthy lifestyle itself. Because it turns out there can be some sneaky traps we fall into even when we have the best intentions. Now, this one might actually surprise you. We think exercise is the #1 fix for high blood pressure, and it is. But there's a catch. It is possible to have too much of a good thing. Overtraining, like the American Council on Exercise defines it here, basically puts your body under constant physical stress. If you don't give yourself enough time to recover, that intense training can actually backfire and start raising your blood pressure. The key takeaway, more is not always better. Rest is part of the training. And, of course, there's more to it than just what happens at the gym. You might be eating healthy, but a lot of prepackaged health foods are secretly loaded with sodium. That one glass of wine you have to relax might regularly become 2 or 3, and that adds up. Tobacco, obviously, is a huge one. But I really want you to look at that last point, poor sleep. It's so easy to ignore, but it's an absolutely massive factor. And speaking of sleep, we have to talk about obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. This is a major, and I mean major, hidden cause of stubborn high blood pressure, even in people who are super fit. Think about it. Every time you stop breathing in your sleep, your oxygen levels drop and your body freaks out. It hits the panic button, triggering that exact same fight or flight stress response we talked about over and over all night long. It's literally like you're running a stress-filled marathon every single night while you're trying to rest. Okay, so we've looked at stress, we've looked at those hidden lifestyle traps. But now let's zoom out even further. What about the factors that are pretty much out of your hands? These are the unseen influences that can play a huge role in your health story.
Yep, sometimes you can just blame your parents. Kidding, mostly. But seriously, if high blood pressure runs in your family, you might just be genetically wired to be more susceptible. Now, this does not mean your healthy lifestyle is pointless. Not at all. In fact, it's even more important. It just means you're starting from a different place and might have to be extra careful. And that leads to a really key concept doctors look for, something called secondary hypertension. See, most of the time, high blood pressure is called essential, which is just a fancy way of saying we don't know the single exact cause. But sometimes, the high blood pressure isn't the main problem at all. It's actually a symptom of something else going on. Now, as you can see, it's not the most common thing in the world. We're talking maybe 5 to 10% of all cases. But, and this is a huge but, if you happen to be in that group, finding and treating that root cause could make the high blood pressure just go away. So
It's absolutely something that has to be checked out if things just aren't adding up.
So, what kind of underlying issues are we talking about? Well, here are some of the usual suspects. It could be related to your kidneys. It could be an endocrine problem, like an issue with your thyroid or adrenal glands. It could even be a side effect from a medication you're taking for something completely unrelated. This is exactly why it's so important to work with a doctor to get a full picture. Okay, so after digging into all these different clues, from our own minds, to our habits, to our very DNA, let's pull it all together. It's time to decode this whole paradox. So here it is. The lineup. The reason your blood pressure is high, even though you live a healthy life, is almost never just one of these things. It's a cocktail. It could be that chronic stress from your job, mixed with a genetic tendency you got from your dad, plus maybe you're pushing just a little too hard at the gym because you're so desperate to fix it. See how it all connects? And this, right here, is the single most important thing to take away from all of this. There is rarely one simple answer. Your blood pressure isn't just a number. It's the result of a very complex equation. And the key isn't finding one single villain to blame, but understanding all the different things that are contributing to your personal story. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. Instead of looking at that number on the blood pressure cuff as a failure, try to see it as a message. It's a complex, deeply personal story that your body is trying to tell you. The only question left is, what is your story saying?